I think we overcomplicate things. I think there's this belief that it has to be hard or it should be hard, and it doesn't. If you keep it simple and you can explicitly say what problem you solve for a unique group of people and how you add value, that's all you need. And don't just give people what you think they should have. Actually ask and see what people want, right? They will tell you how, right? And then you can decide and design your one offer to solve that problem with the information that they give you. Yes, you are the expert in that space, but they are the experts on how you can best serve them. And so if you're open to that, you'll unlock the code, but don't overcomplicate it.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Regin, and today's guest is Dr. Tiana Rogers, a career and wealth strategist, impact expert, and coach to ambitious women ready to pivot with purpose. As the founder of Rogers Solution Group and a member of Marshall Goldsmith's 100 Coaches, Tiana is on a mission to help 1 million women reinvent their careers, build passive wealth, and create work-optional legacies for their families. If you ever felt stuck in success or craved a career that actually fits the life you want, this conversation will shift your mindset, your strategy, and your next move. And it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Tiana.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here.
It's a pleasure for us. So I wanted to know what inspired you initially to become a coach, and start your coaching business. How did this get started? What's the story?
Ooh, a breast cancer diagnosis in my early 30s with no explainable reason, no family history, really excellent shape, eating well, always worked out, and life was turned upside down. And I realized that I was burned out from climbing the corporate ladder, and I didn't know it. I didn't have the awareness that I was completely overextended. And so once I got through to the other side, I decided I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to share this experience with other women and invite them into a space where they too can understand that they don't have to be on the hamster wheel, and there is opportunity for them to reinvent their careers so that it aligns with what they really want, because nobody wakes up wanting to be burned out. So it has become really a mission birthed out of pain.
And so how long has it been since you started this coaching business?
18. I started coaching. I've always kind of been a coach and mentor throughout my life, more informally. Just serving in a lot of capacities, even in jobs. I was always, a supervisor, staff mentor, things like that. But I think when I learned that it could be something more formalized and there was an ecosystem that existed around it, then I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like I can actually do something that I really enjoy. And there's an entire community of folks that can help support you. And so being a part of Marshall Goldsmith's group, Forefront Group, really, I think, took my coaching practice to another level.
So it's been almost 7 years now that you've been doing this. Cool. Pre-COVID also.
Yes.
So yeah, most coaches have started when COVID hit. You started earlier than that.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
And throughout these 7 years of working as a coach, by the way, is this something that you are doing right now full-time, or is it part-time? And also, how is your time divided?
Yeah, so I own a research consulting group as well. And so I am toggling back and forth with coaching and research. So part-time coaching currently, and largely just because I have built the flexibility in my life where I can ebb and flow into working fully with my private clients, or if maybe I get right now, I actually have a couple of really big research contracts that I'm working on with my team. And so I was able to kind of scale up my time on that side of the house and scale down my coaching. And I didn't end up running my group mastermind for this quarter just because I needed a little more margin. So yeah, I've been able to structure that flexibility that way without compromising my income, which is really the goal of entrepreneurship for me.
Cool. And we'll also talk about the goals when it comes to the coaching business itself. But before that, focusing on the coaching side of it, throughout these 7 years or so, what would you say in your coaching journey? What's the most rewarding? What do you find the most rewarding in your coaching journey when you're working with your clients?
What's most rewarding for me is when I recognize that my clients are returning to themselves. When I'm working with highly ambitious women, we can sometimes be so bogged down by all the things that we have to do, and we are so wildly talented and brilliant that we do all the things. And sometimes that causes us to disconnect from ourselves because we're overwhelmed and we, are just trying to show up for everybody else. And sometimes we forget to show up for ourselves. And so, it's always like, so just for me, so exciting when I see kind of that aha happen where, they're like, I never thought about like, whether this was working for me. Like I was just doing it and people were expecting me to do it. And that's just how it went. And so for me, that's the most exciting place because the self-awareness and the coming into that awareness is the first step in empowered choice. And so for me, that's where it gets good.
And is there, when it comes to the people we work with, we talk about this on the intro as well. Is it only women or is there also men? And what I'm trying to get at with the question is, what is the target audience? And even if it's just women, is it broken down to a specific industry, to a specific demographic? Who are you actually exactly serving is what I'm trying to get at.
Yes. So I primarily serve my ideal client are high achieving women. So they can be C-suite, executive, entrepreneurs. I work with a few mompreneurs, largely MDs, PhDs, a few attorneys, a few therapists. So really any woman that is in a professional role beyond early career typically is kind of my wheelhouse. I do have some men that show interest in wanting to understand how to work less and earn more. What does that look like? That's kind of attractive. And my husband is also in the space of coaching. He left academia as well. He's a PhD as well. And so sometimes we do joint things where we'll have couples and we'll coach and mentor couples. So that is kind of a side thing, I would say, and usually it comes from my primary audience saying like, hey, my partner, my husband wants to also get in on this. And so then I may pull the other Dr. Rogers in as well. But typically my ideal client really is a woman like me, right? Like that doesn't want to sacrifice her ambitions for a career that just doesn't fit her needs where she currently is.
So you would say that you build a coaching business for what you needed before this existed. So kind of like this would be like the ideal service we would have asked for before.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My ideal client is me.
Yeah, exactly. And it has been the case with a lot of coaches that I've interviewed. That's why I can see the pattern. And,
yes.
So when it comes to the transformation for these women that you're working with or the ideal client, how does that look like? Can you share more? If, let's say, one of these is listening to the podcast, what are the programs? How do they look like? What is the transformation? How do you work with them?
Yeah. So typically most of my clients are coming in through my career pivot challenge. So it's a 3-day career pivot challenge where we spend some time really drilling down into, what are those habits and patterns that are causing you to overwork, that are stealing your joy, that are really becoming pain points in your life, right? Where you're just feeling like, this is it, like I work so hard for this, like, If you are in that space, the 3-day challenge is a perfect place to start because it helps you kind of, again, come into that awareness. It helps you understand the 3 pivots that are available to you. So we go over those 3 pivots, and then we go through it through a 4P framework that I've developed that helps you structure out what your pivot plan is going to be. And your pivot plan is really unique to you. So it doesn't mean that you have to leave your job. It means that you're developing a new plan that fits the rhythm of your life. And so we go through those 3 days together. And then typically my clients then go into the mastermind, which is Legacy League. And so in the Legacy League, we spend 90 days together and we work on career reinvention. How can we work less and earn more? And then we work on wealth building. How can we use our 9-to-5 or our passive business income to grow wealth without clocking more hours? And then we talk about legacy, kind of that sustainability piece of it. How do we build out streams of revenue that are working without us working and giving us work optional futures or our children work optional futures? And so it's breaking down in 90 days because, listen, we're busy. And money likes speed, so I need to get in and I need to get the strategy and I need you to get out. So we spend that time. It's very targeted. It's very high accountability, but also highly engaged. And so it allows for my clients to be able to capture those insights that they need through the mastermind. And then some of my clients do decide to do one-to-one. If I do offer that, right now I have one-to-one client, and that is at a higher premium. So many of my clients actually that do one-to-one, they actually get their organizations to pay for it through their professional development funds. So a lot of professionals don't know that that's even available to them, or they forget about it and they don't use it. So I do have a few one-to-one spots that I do take periodically. But that's typically how you will see me in different spaces. Sometimes I host workshops or different trainings. Mm-hmm. Largely it's how do we pivot? What's the strategy? And then we're getting straight to work with Mastermind, spending 90 days of dedicated time together.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you're helping them reduce their hours, remove burnout,
yes,
and then improve productivity. So you're also increasing income. Is the path similar or is it different actually for everyone? So depending on, if you own a business, your path might be different from if you have 9-to-5, right?
It might be. Yes, it might be. I think when I'm trying to think of some of my entrepreneur clients. So I will say for my clients who are entrepreneurs and who are kind of owning their own time, the path is the same, but it also requires more calculated risk. Because it's their livelihood. And most of them, right, they don't have the anchor of a full-time job that's allowing them to build this thing. Most of them are already in it when they come to me. And so it's like, I have this, I got to make it successful. And so we work around the parameters that they currently have. But all of my clients that come to me, we do explore it, whether entrepreneurship is something that they do want to explore. And my advice to them is always, always, always to do it with a strategy. And we develop a strategy of that so that they can pivot out of that 9-to-5 into something more sustainable without worrying about their basic needs being met.
And then there's was it 3 days challenge, right?
Yeah, the 3-day challenge. Yep.
How are you marketing currently the 3-day challenge? So how are people signing up? Where do they find it?
Yep. So a variety of ways. I have a LinkedIn newsletter that has 600 or so subscribers currently. I need to push it a little bit more, but I have a LinkedIn newsletter. I have, of course, my email list, and then I have a sales team that I work with that runs targeted ads, and so they do all the things. I don't know what all the aspects are, but they run all of that in the CRM, and I'm able to just see what's happening, but they qualify the leads. They do all of the follow-up. They do phone calls to the leads, and they just make sure that people that are coming into my ecosystem feel the essence of my heart to invite them into the space. And so they really make it so that I can just show up as the expert that I am and serve my clients well.
So that is something that you have offloaded from your plate, right? And we'll get to investments as well.
Mm-hmm.
But before I get to the investments, and this might be one of the investments, before I get there, I wanted to understand how do you see the coaching business 1 to 3 years from now? Do you have any goals around it that you're working towards?
Yes. I'm working towards actually not being in it as much. Actually, I have some folks on my team currently that are really just kind of following me day in and day out. And my goal is to have some of them step in for some of the different activities that we're working on because I have a few other endeavors that I'm, ramping up for and high impact. I'm on to the next thing. But I love this space. But some of the things that are functioning as they are now, I've recognized that I've kind of become the bottleneck in a few places. And so I'm like, okay, now we're going to look at how can I optimize my skill set and my talents and use my team to supplement in some other areas. So the goal is to obviously grow, my community. We have a private community, and so I want to absolutely get to my million women, and yeah, just have a little bit more ease. And I'm also thinking about adding some additional services as well, just so because right now it's very tight, what I'm offering. It's just very simple and it's successful. And so so I want to master that, right, before I add on any other offerings. But our community has asked for offerings. They've asked for more in-person things. And so, yeah, that's definitely on the radar in the next few years to be thinking more about that and rolling out more opportunities for our community to connect with each other and with me.
Cool. So not being in it as much anymore means being on it, kind of like working on the business.
Absolutely.
So do you have a team right now when it comes to doing the coaching part?
No, the coaching part is all me. I do have a lot of my material is evergreen. So it's already, curated, it's already produced, already in the course, all the things, right? And then we do live Q&A, or I do live Q&A with my team. My assistant gets on, does all the other back end stuff. And then I'm able to just show up and add value to the community each week. It's one day a week. And we're working on I'm actually thinking about doing it twice a week. But right now, once a week seems to work pretty good. And that allows for me to get to know more of the community, answer their questions in real time, give them solutions to the problems that they're maybe encountering. But otherwise, they can consume the content at their own pace, their own time. And most of my clients are similar to me, right? They're C-suites, they're executives, they're used to self-paced learning, independent learning, and it doesn't bother them. They can come with their questions. So it's working.
Cool. Great. And now I want to get to the investment side.
Okay.
What are some investments that you've done that you feel that was actually a good investment for my coaching business, that was worth it or good return on it? And it could be any type of investment. It could be investments on yourself, investments in the coaching business, coaching programs, masterminds, communities, team, whatever it is. Feel free to share it.
Yes, every investment I have made in my coaching business has given me an ROI, even if I don't see it immediately, right? Like for me, I just see it. I've paid hundreds of thousands for education, traditional education, right? Like getting a doctorate. So for me, it's like, oh, this mastermind's a couple $1,000s. Okay, if I really feel like it's going to close the gap between where I am and where I want to be, I'm going to invest in it, right? So I think you obviously have to weigh, the revenue and all the things that you have going on to account for in your business. But I would say some of the most profitable have been my admin. When I first hired my admin, I was hesitant at first because I felt like I don't want to feel stressed about payroll for somebody full time. And so I sat with it for a while and literally struggled for a while because I was doing all the things. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I can do. And at that time, I could do part-time. So I just inquired about availability for different people in my networks that I knew and was like, I have part-time. And they started at part-time, right? And that allowed me to free up my time so that I could work on my business and easily bring in more revenue to bring her on full-time. So I would say that was the most strategic one. And then the second one would absolutely be the sales team that I have right now, because I'm not creating a funnel. And I don't like I've gone to courses and workshops to learn enough. And so I will say that you do need to learn enough so that you know what you need to hire for. And you know when people aren't meeting, right, the requirements of your business. So it did take me a while to find the right partner. I met with quite a few companies. People are pitching you all the time. And I met with quite a few people, but the group that I have now, I love. And they, get all the CRM stuff set up. They do the things they're great at so that I can do what I'm great at. And that has been a game changer.
Also, they are not in-house sales team.
Nope.
Okay, I see. Interesting. So kind of they're like appointment setters, but they also do the closing themselves, all of it. Cool. By the way, do you mind sharing who they are? Maybe some coaches might find them interesting.
Comma closers.
Comma closers.
Comma
Okay.
closers, yes. And they, and I will say one of the things that I really do respect about them is that when I first started this specific brand, Legacy League, I met with them and they were very kind and they just said, we're not quite convinced you're where you need to be for us to like really maximize the partnership, right? And I respected that because a lot of people would just take your money and blame it on you, right? And so I took what they gave me some advice. I took that advice. I went back, rebuilt, because I had rebranded my coaching. It used to be called Mended Hope. And so I rebranded it and did all the things. And once I did that and I came back to them, then they were like, great, you got what we need. It's a perfect time to partner. And so, so they came in, they set up all my CRM for me. I have full access. I can edit and do anything. And, we have meetings. I have a social media manager that they have assigned to me that her and I talk all the time about what I'm seeing on the data dashboard for the ads and how things are performing. And I think it just really gives me some comfort in knowing that I've done my own due diligence to know enough of what I need to look at, right? When I'm looking at the dashboard and I'm seeing the data come in and I know the right questions to ask, but I don't have to be so in the weeds that I'm losing time where I could be working on my company and scaling and meeting with clients.
Interesting. So right now you've delegated a lot of admin work, a lot of marketing and sales, which is great. And this is an interesting approach because I haven't had this approach come up in the previous episode. So that's why I wanted to dig in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
How other coaches have tried to avoid marketing and sales is they have tried to work as contractors for companies that are selling their own coaching programs. So they do the marketing and sales, but you do the coaching kind of like.
Got it.
But in your case, you have delegated it, which is interesting. So good to know. Good to know that there are options like this. So the other thing is, wanted to ask you, how do you see it? Like in the future, you want to grow to help 1 million women, but you also have your research business on the side. Do you think that in the future you will do maybe 50% of your time in the other business, 50% in this one? How do you see that?
That's a great question. What I sense is going to happen because I have so much fun in coaching. I think I'm going to end up in coaching full time because there's a difference between being skilled. I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist, I'm trained in that, right? And I've developed mastery in that. And it's something that comes fairly easy, right? But, and it's also a revenue driver that allows me to invest in my coaching business because that is something that I find great joy in, right? And so I think for me, it's like, when my coaching business gets to the place that I feel like I can pivot and that can be my anchor revenue, then I will make that leap, right? But for me, that wasn't reasonable leaving academia as a doctorate researcher. Like I needed to use my transferable skills in the marketplace so that I can continue to get the revenue that I was accustomed to, right? I wasn't taking a pay cut. So it was like, okay, I do love coaching, but this is not something that I can, because I'm building a new profile in this space. It's not something that I'm just going to jump into. I'm going to, I'm going to test it out and see how the market responds to me. I'm a researcher. I'm going to look at the data and see what the data says about whether this is a good decision or not. Right. And so for me, it was much easier to pivot from to fire my 9 to 5 in academia, pivot into research, consulting, run my consulting business, and take the capital from that and actually build my coaching practice the way that I want to with no pressure. And again, it allows me to show up with full joy because I'm not pressed about whether I have clients, whether I need clients, none of that. I have a team, they're bringing in those steady leads. I show up, I add value, which is what I know how to do best. And when my clients close, fantastic, right? And if they don't and they find other coaches, amazing. But I want them to know that they have options and you don't have to stay stuck in the 9 to 5 if that's not what you want to do.
I see. So the other business, the research one, is, you would say, not the one you're most passionate about. You're most passionate about the coaching part, but that one is providing the revenue to support this one until this one grows. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. But you feel like, in terms of like goals and timeline, do you see yourself potentially scaling the coaching business within how many years?
Within this year.
Oh, within this year. Okay. So it's going to be it's not going to be. Okay.
Oh yeah. The early indicators are promising. And really the reason why I hadn't before and I hadn't really put the interest in it is just because I had a baby, I was on maternity leave. Like I just had other things that took priority. And so once I was able to, my son's a little older now, he's 3. And so it gave me some time to say, okay, now that I'm at this place, he's in school, what do I want to do with my time? Right. And then I was able to say, okay, I actually really I miss coaching. I love it. And I want to grow it. And what does it look like now in this phase of my life? And so that is where I am now with, building this team, hiring this team. I just hired this team, I think March, somewhere earlier this year. So we're learning in these first 90 days. We're understanding what the data is telling us. We're making adjustments. We're growing it, and it's looking amazing. So yeah, I don't anticipate it's going to take long. I don't think it's going to take long because I have a scaled down funnel that is just lean, right? For me, it's like one platform, one offer, 1 million. Like that's the mission. So you just have to stay focused.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited for it.
Thank you.
And so what would you say right now? You said the early indicators are looking good. What is a challenge right now that you're working to solve for next in the coaching business short term? Do you see any bottlenecks anywhere? Anything that you think, oh, this is not ready yet, but it's looking good. There's something not looking good, or it just needs time.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'm kind of like, okay, like some of it's wait and see. How the market responds, how my clients respond, because a lot of my clients that are in my kind of community are from my older brand. And so when I did the rebrand, it took a little bit for folks to recalibrate. And of course, I lost some of the folks in that community, which is normal. And so I think it's at a place now where I have my previous standing community of folks that are like, okay, we like this new trajectory. We're here, we're locked in. And then we're also inviting new people into the space. And so it's really growing. And yeah, I think for me, the only challenge I think that I've started to think through is how can I continue to show up consistently in the community space that adds value and that's meaningful without me feeling like I need to be online all the time, because that's not really my preference. So I think that may be one of the things that has kind of surfaced recently where I'm like, how am I going to make sure that, that I'm showing up in a way that's authentic, but that's not compromising my life by having to be glued to a phone and, engaging in private communities. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for all of this. And also, thank you for taking the time. The final question is, what advice would you like to give to other coaches who are looking to scale their impact, just like you are?
Keep it simple. I think we overcomplicate things. I think there's this belief that it has to be hard or it should be hard, and it doesn't. If you keep it simple and you can explicitly say what problem you solve for a unique group of people and how you add value, that's all you need. And you need one offer. And let the data inform you, right? Like if you see that people are not responding to something, or they're, do a poll, send a survey to your groups or your email list, like solicit that information, stay curious, and don't just give people what you think they should have. Actually ask and see what people want, right? They will tell you, right? And then you can decide and design your one offer to solve that problem with the information that they give you. Yes, you are the expert in that space, but they are the experts on how you can best serve them. And so if you're open to that, you'll unlock the code, but don't overcomplicate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tiana. Yeah. And for anyone who wants to find you or connect with you, they can go into your LinkedIn, search Tiana Rogers. Yep. They'll be able to find you. What is another way they could reach out to if they needed to?
Yeah, you could find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and those are all under TN Rogers, PhD. And yeah, I'll pop up and you can engage. Also, you can, I actually have YouTube as well. So if you want to search Dr. Tiana Rogers on YouTube, I drop shorts and different content pieces on there as well, longer form content on there. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tiana. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
It was a pleasure.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.